Hey, welcome back to the Group Project Podcast. This is episode number 111. I'm here with Michelle Hill. Michelle is the Director of Work-Based Learning for the Waukee School District in Waukee, Iowa. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm excited. I mentioned before this show, 111 episodes, and we have not touched on this topic, which we're going to focus most of our time on, which is like work-based learning, post-secondary. All the big school districts in Iowa now offer these really cool opportunities for students. And what's your program called again?
Well, the program is Waukee APEX Aspiring Professional Experience. It's one of several work-based learning opportunities we have here in the district, but it's our newest one.
Yeah, so Apex is kind of it's got a great reputation in the state of Iowa. Very unique is what I've been told. We're going to hear a little bit more about it. But Michelle, I always start off with this question, like, just talk about your professional background and how you got into the role of being the work-based learning director for your district.
Sure. So we talk to students a lot in our program and having them understand that, while they're here, they're not going to figure out the rest of their life. It's always like, what's the next step? What's the next step? And I kind of had this completely curvy, weird path to where I'm at now, which at the time, and at several points in time, I'm like, what is this? But now it makes perfect sense because everything
Yeah.
kind of synergized and came together. So I'm from Iowa. I'm from Burlington is my hometown. I went to UNI. I studied business, and fun little fact, thought I was going to be an accountant from the time I was in sixth grade on.
Oh, wow.
Got to UNI, realized I was not going to be an accountant, and had a minor, freshman year into sophomore year meltdown, trying to figure that out. But knew I was going to stay in the business field. Ended up with an economics degree with business analysis, thanks to an amazing professor who I just
Mm,
loved. But that business analysis emphasis allowed me to get my teaching certificate.
okay.
And you're about to go back home to Waterloo and work, so you know how cold it is there.
Yep.
And I when they asked where I wanted to student teach, I literally picked the warmest place on the map that day. So I went to Tucson, Arizona.
Nice.
And while I moved to Tucson, Arizona, a few friends and I started a business together. So we moved across the country, started a business, decided to student teach. I would not recommend that combination to anyone. Took a lot of hours, a few sleepless nights, and through putting that business together, realized that teaching was definitely my passion and wanted to stay with that. So I stayed in Tucson for a few years, taught business computer science at the middle level, high school level, and then really missed Iowa. And so I moved back home, taught at Urbandale for a while, taught online for AIB College of Business really early, like 2004 early. And they stole me away after a few years to become their dean of online learning and then academic resources. So I was at AIB for a few years, and then Waukee came calling, and I thought, no way, I'm not going back to high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
But a couple good friends here in the district are amazing salespeople, and Waukee is just amazing, and said, hey, this thing, whatever, might be coming down the road. You should really take a look at it. We'd like you to be a part of it. So he talked me back into high school. And because I had this love of online learning, the couple colleagues I was working with, we started hybrid learning or online learning 10 years ago,
Wow.
pre-pandemic. Got to do some of that. Um, and then the district started thinking about, something. And I got to be on kind of the stakeholder committee to think about Apex, and yeah, started as a teacher, became the director. And in the meantime there, I got a master's degree in secondary education from Viterbo. And then after I took on this position, I got another master's degree in administration and curriculum instruction through the University of Wisconsin. So lifelong learner, super curious, a little crazy at times,
Yeah.
taking on some new things, but love to build, love to create, love to work with great people. And Waukee was a great landing spot. So all that sort of came together and makes sense now. So I get to do a little bit of economic development, a little bit of secondary, post-secondary. All of that served me well. Online learning, we were pandemic ready. um,
Yes.
Authentic learning throughout my career. Yeah. And so now we have this great mix of all of that with the work-based learning opportunities here at Waukee.
You weren't lying when you said it was kind of a winding, twisting career. That was, and it talk about like a skill set that really prepared you well for your position. Real quick, what was the business you started in Tucson? Like, I'm really curious.
So this is a fun trivia fact that nobody ever believes. When you play like two truths and a lie.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I had a sewer cleaning business along, and also like we would clean sidewalks and things like. We had a franchise here in Iowa too. So when the Coral Ridge Mall opened,
Yeah.
we cleaned all the sidewalks after construction, as an example. So
Wow.
yeah, really kind of weird. Sort of stumbled upon it through my family, and a couple friends decided they want to do this, and I had the business degree, so I got to do all the payroll and taxes and
Wow.
fun,
Okay. So you're
fun
kind of an
things.
entrepreneur here too at heart, huh?
Sure, yeah, I do. I love creating businesses. Now I get to help students do that too. So
Okay, so I'm going to ask you like the $1 million question, and which is tell us more about the Waukee APEX program. It sounds like there's so much going on, but how would you summarize what you guys do?
sure. So we've had work-based learning in the district for over 20 years. We have our school to work internship program that's for seniors and students that are interested in kind of taking a deep dive into those careers. But we wanted to, in the district, had some goals. We wanted to serve more students. We wanted to get them connected to uh, innovative ideas for potential careers. We wanted to help serve, the workforce development in our community. And Waukee is unique in the fact that we're growing so much. And we also we're looking at something to potentially offset some growth in our Waukee High School before now we have Northwest High School. So that got
Mhm.
it kind of gave it a little bit of a time cushion there. And so our school board really challenged us to think outside the box. What could we do that was something innovative and different? And there's several models like this throughout the nation and have grown kind of organically here in Iowa. We're all siblings in crime, we call each other.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, so what we do through Apex, it's open to juniors and seniors, and there's no prerequisites, there's no GPA requirements. Students can select one of, we have quite a few courses now. We started with 4 and 100 students, and we've grown to 14 classes, and we'll be somewhere around 650, 700 students in the program
Wow.
next year. So kind of a planned growth over the years. This is our 8th year of the program.
Wow.
And what we do is work on authentic projects for business partners. So a little bit shorter time span than, a senior year internship, guided in a cohort around a technical topic like insurance and actuarial or animal and vet science or construction leadership for some of our classes.
Mhm.
Guided by an amazing instructor who is the ultimate matchmaker between students' current skills, growth areas where they want to grow or where we think they need to grow, and then also business needs. And so throughout the semester, we work on not only those technical skills, but actually the greater experiences are that what we call our professional skills or a lot. Ooh, my lights are going off. Let me grab that real quick.
Okay, you're good.
Hope we can edit.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. We've had dogs, we've had kids,
Dogs and
we've
kids.
had power breakdowns, no wireless, no internet. So you're good. You're
Even
good.
better. Um, okay, so getting back to it. So they work on technical skills along with those professional skills. So a lot of people know those as like the universal constructs, communication, collaboration, creative and critical thinking. Biggest one, I just talked to a business partner today, like flexibility and adaptability, being productive and accountable, all those things.
Yeah.
And so those are the big things our business partners talk to us about. And then we have an advisory board that helps us determine courses. We have business partners and academic partners that help us
Wow.
look at curriculum. We revisit that yearly. So our teachers need to be pretty agile as far as, thinking about being future focused, and if potentially, Des Moines is a finance capital, well, what if that goes away? Well, we might not have insurance and actuarial anymore. That might turn to, I don't know, something else.
Yeah.
And so they work on those technical, professional skills, building this portfolio, building a network, getting them connected to careers and folks in our area, metro, state, whatever that might be, so they can make the best choices that they can for their next steps. And that's kind of Apex in a nutshell. So they spend half their day here for a whole semester. It's a pretty big time commitment on their part. Yeah, and they get to work on all these amazing projects and do creative activities here. We have a standard that talks about work-life balance, so try to have a little fun along the way. Just kind of thinking about students that are in high school making all these plans, and even recently, going through the pandemic and things like just their, thinking about their own well-being and their mental health, and what best career choices might be for them based on what they think they would like from their lifestyle as well. We want them to be successful. We want them to get to whatever place they want to be with hopefully the least amount of debt, but also, before they spend a bunch of time, tuition, whatever that may be. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the goal of the
Yeah.
program. And yeah, we've been learning along the way. It's been 8 years of just a lot of chaos, organized chaos, I guess, a lot of fun. But in the first 3 years, we were 100% out in host sites, out in business partners. So our classes were located. 5 years ago, we opened the Waukee Innovation Learning Center. So we do have a home base. But students they're all over the city. They are just lots of locations, lots to manage, lots of business partners to keep happy,
Mhm.
and lots of coaching conversations along the way. So especially we were talking before, about it being May and people have
Yeah.
kind of checked out. Well, there's no checking out at Apex. We still have to deliver on what we said we were going to deliver. So
Uh,
we're finishing things up about now.
It's a really good summary there. So many questions I have for you, but I guess the one I've got is, there's a lot of these models out there of these work-based learning programs. What's different about your program, or maybe what sets you guys apart from others that you've visited or you've spoken with?
Yeah. So like I said, we're kind of siblings, and everyone kind of has its own flavor. Anybody that's been here to visit with us to kind of see how we do it, we make sure to tell them, you really need to make this your own. You need to look at what economic development looks like in your area, what industries you can support. But um, if I have to say, like, maybe what our secret sauce is
Yeah.
here, it's our people, it's our culture that we've
Mm.
created. It's that we have this very high standard of service, of servant leadership. That's our first standard. That I mean, work-based learning's been around forever. FFA
Yeah.
is an example. It's been around since the early 1900s, and so kind of the way we attack it is with just a lot of curiosity, a lot of flexibility. We try to say yes a lot, as much as we can. We got to be creative and think about ways around obstacles that have been in the way of public school for since it's existed. And so we just think we've created a really great culture of mutual respect
Yeah.
among every player, whether that's our students, our teachers, our business partners, our parents, our community. And we just really want to cultivate that learning, creative collisions that happen. That's we love that term, people working in the building. Great things happen when you bump into people when you're off site. We encourage students to take their lunch and warm it up in the lunchroom, and you never know who you're going to bump into, right? I mean, that's the whole concept behind an elevator pitch. You never know when you're going to get 30 seconds or something to talk to somebody, and sometimes they're talking to the president or CEO of a company and they have no idea. But that's how networking happens. And so just teaching them to do that kind of thing. And then we say that once you're Apex, you're family for life. and we truly mean that. We continue to support our alumni. Love it when our alumni come home, tell us great stories about what they're doing, and now we have alumni that have been out long enough that they can come back and contribute. And we have a couple that work in the building that have introduced their companies and have, sponsored projects or hired interns or or ending up in some of the academic programs. Maybe they're in the DO program at DMU or some of those things. We've been out long enough now that we're starting to see some of those fun stories. And yeah, I'd say short word, culture.
I love what you said. Like it's people,
Yeah.
not programs. Sometimes, like we talk about that all the time. And you're right. If you've got the right staff leading the charge, you can do some amazing things.
Yep.
Okay. So let's pretend like you are some other district that does not have a comprehensive work-based learning program recruits you away. Or there's somebody who's listening out there that's like, oh, we just don't have anything going in our district.
Mhm.
Like what you're describing sounds like amazing. Like, wow. But I also realize you've been at it for 10 years, where do you start? Like if you had to give some advice to somebody who wanted, or if you were going somewhere and starting up a new program,
Mhm.
where would you start? Like, what would be those first steps?
I'd find one amazing teacher, one who is curious and ready to, our business development manager always says, like, we all took a bungee cord jump with this career change, because you don't know if you're going to have business partners that are willing to work with you. You don't know all these things. So I find one amazing instructor. I would find one great business partner with an idea of something that they wanted to solve. And then the students will follow. I say start with one student, but the students will follow this
Right.
model. They
Yeah.
always do. And so that's what we've told a lot of districts. Like, you don't need this building. You don't need to be 600 students. It's just one and one. Start there. Start small. Even if you're just a teacher on your own and you want to try this, start with like a couple week project. Call one of your business partners, find out a problem that they have, and then have your students work on it and pitch something back, and then giving them the opportunity to be in front of an audience that's not you. We kind of, even as teachers, we kind of turn into the Charlie Brown, want after a
Yeah.
while. But knowing that they have that accountability to a business partner that's coming up, just find small steps to take to get started, and it will build, it will grow, and then you'll have a portfolio of, oh yeah, we've done a project like that before. Let me tell you about it, and here's how it was successful. And then have your students tell those stories, and then they will become word of mouth and recruit for you. And it's kind of a win right now, win-win-win for everybody. And everybody needs great workers that
Yep.
show up, that communicate, that collaborate, that um, and that the technical can come later. Um,
Yep.
sometimes there's a base set of skills that you have to get to the table, but you're going to have to continue to keep learning. And if you're willing to do that, and you know that you're going to add value, and you want to be of service to the company, to your team, to yourself, then you just created a great worker. So start small, do what you can, you'll get there.
Is there anything else you want to share about Apex and work-based learning in general before we kind of shift gears a little bit here?
Um, it it's I mean, I've been doing work-based learning, I guess, my entire career. I started as a computer science teacher, and for students that raced through my curriculum and couldn't get enough, they were the ones that like, hey, let me reach out and see if somebody needs a little section of their website built, or that you could do a little marketing for, could evaluate, what they have out there. I mean, students are absolutely the consumers of everything that's out there, and they know sometimes better than we do. They see things that are wrong, that could make things faster, better, stronger, I guess, for you.
Yeah.
They have a fresh perspective. So there's lots of benefits for business partners to buy in. And I think for a long time, businesses have wanted to help and contribute. They just haven't found an easy way to do that. So the easier you can make it for your business partners, the better. And so, yeah, it's absolutely doable in any community, especially now. I mean, Zoom, right? You can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. I've gotten business partners just by posting a question on Twitter, and somebody wrote and said, "Hey, I know so and so. I'm not a total creep, but I saw your question and I'd love to Zoom in." Well, Zoom's, pretty safe, and you can have somebody remote in from wherever and offer advice and contribute in that way. So, and I think a lot of businesses really want to help.
Cool, cool. So hey, let's shift gears a little bit. Like I said, leadership. You clearly, you've kind of been a leader for a long time here, but more and more you've got more students that you're helping supervise. You got more staff involved. You mentioned all the programs, all the business partners.
Mhm.
I always ask this question. I'm curious your answer here. Like, what is one leadership practice that you would recommend to others?
Mm. I'm in a role now where I need to sell a lot. I need to be in front of people a lot, and this goes for me, especially as an introvert. But I think for a lot of leaders is that you have to make time for yourself to think, to read, to create, just to let your mind kind of go a little bit, because I just came from another business partner meeting that was 25 minutes away. And the 20 minutes I got in the car today, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I need to think about that. And oh, that's a great idea. Why didn't I, and kind of trying to just synergize everything that just happened. And when you get to be a principal, a director, whatever that might be, sometimes you don't have time to do that. And especially if you're an introvert and you spend a lot of time, like I called my husband, I'm like, today was very people-y. I'm gonna need some time to decompress tonight and kinda put it all together. I think just make time for yourself, and that's important. Just to just be innovative and to think about your staff, think about your students, and ways that you can support. So
I love like digging into the details of some of these habits that people have. So let me ask you this follow-up question. After you've kind of had I totally get what you're saying about you're in the car, you got these ideas bouncing around your head. You're like, okay, how do you capture those ideas? Do you do anything special? Do you have a special way of making sure you don't lose those thoughts?
hey Siri, add to
Yeah.
add to my to-do list. Oh, my phone just tried to voice. Yeah, I just do a lot of voice dictation. I always have. I worked at a school that did voice captioning, so I was influenced by some really great instructors. My last master's degree, I voice dictated a lot of my thesis. Just
Wow.
so that's my tool. That's my go-to. I do a lot of voice dictation and memos and
Love it.
putting things on my list. So
Love it. So this show I mentioned before the show, and the listeners know, like the show is sponsored by Viterbo University. They're one of our big sponsors. And the reason I got linked up with you is because a couple of the people I work with said, hey, you've got to reach out to Michelle. Michelle is doing great things at Waukee. But let's talk about your experience with Viterbo. Why would you recommend their program to others who might be listening?
sure. Well, I've probably had this philosophy my whole life, but I'm a servant leader. The folks that work in this building, they don't work for me as their boss. No, I'm Siri trying to talk. They don't work for me as their boss. I work for them. And so when I got to Viterbo, like I said, I had a business degree with a few, methods classes and things. I got my license. I started teaching. And so when I went back, I got my secondary teaching through them. And so it really kind of solidified a lot of teaching practices and things. But my favorite class, and I think this is actually how I started talking to Michael Gonzalez from Viterbo, Tom Thibodeau. I took the art of leadership with him, and I could just sit and listen to this man talk forever. But his big concept was servant leadership, and I think he actually went on to start a PhD program in ethical leadership um, through Viterbo, and it just made all the sense in the world to me that that if you're in service to others, if you add value, and that's become a cornerstone. It's standard one in Apex. You gotta be adding value, and that's how you get jobs. That's how you build a portfolio. That's how you add service to people you're working with. That's how you feel good. That's how you have purpose. That's all of that. And so that was probably my favorite thing going through the Viterbo master's program. And I clearly remember tons and tons of stories that he told, and I just really enjoyed that class. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
lots of great classes, lots of great learning, but that memory sticks out quite a bit.
Hey, if you're just joining us late, this is episode number 111. I'm here with Michelle Hill. Michelle is the director of work-based learning for the Waukee School District, just outside of Des Moines. So here's when we kind of finish up with just some quick hitter questions. I would say like half of our listeners are in the Midwest, and then the other half are kind of like all over the United States and maybe outside the country. But so there's a lot of people who travel to Des Moines. They go to the Des Moines area, right? So I always like asking questions where you can share your local expertise with us.
Okay.
So if listeners visit your city, and do you live in Waukee? Is that correct? Or
Yep.
okay. So if they visit Waukee, what is one place? And I usually try to focus on like a restaurant. What's one place they've got to check out? What's your like favorite restaurant or two in the area?
Well, one of my favorite places for meeting, and it's specific to Waukee, is the Coffee Smith. Great menu, great atmosphere, great people who work there. Highly recommend the Pablo Honey. I love that coffee drink. So that's a fun place to meet. You were asking, where does one business start? It's like one cup of coffee. And
Yeah.
after 8 years, it's been a lot of cups of coffee. So I definitely recommend the Coffee Smith. Food wise, probably one of my favorites is Gastropub. And I'm pretty sure it's Waukee. It might be pushing. No, it's Waukee. But great story, great owners. They started as a food truck, and now they're here in Waukee, and amazing food, great ambiance. So I would recommend those two places in Waukee.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. You mentioned a couple times lifelong learning. What is one or two books that have greatly influenced your life?
I'm notorious that I only read nonfiction. I very rarely read fiction. So I'm a huge fan of Simon Sinek, of course. He has lots of great books. I'm going to say Leaders Eat Last. That's right along with my servant leadership kind of mantra, I guess. It's been present through my entire life, but very, very reaffirming. Personally, I would say a book called Present Over Perfect by Shauna Nyquist. Great for work, great for being a mom, just great for just remembering that, you're enough, and kind of inspirational there. So those are two of my favorites in a long time, I would say.
Okay. So what's your like go-to gas station? Do you have one?
I guess I'm not brand loyal to a gas station. There's a Hy-Vee like grocery stop near my house with a smoky row that I like. I frequent that one, I suppose.
Okay. So if you're hopping in there, you're heading on. You said your kids are involved in sports, right? So so you might have a road trip here and there. Is that right?
Yes.
So if you're hopping in the car, stopping by the Hy-Vee gas station / grocery store there, what are your three go-to items? If you're starving or you're hungry, what are you grabbing?
I always grab water. I don't know why. I guess I probably have 4 bottles of water in my car right now. But something with protein. Same. My husband would probably pick the same thing. Like I'm almonds, something like that. I try to get something healthy in my kids, like a yogurt or a banana or something like that. But most of the time, they're usually, "Mom, can I get a push pop? Mom, can I get Twizzlers?" Oh my gosh, there went my lights again.
You're good.
Something like that.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. So something, a sweet treat in there probably too.
So is there I always see these fancy bottles of water. Is there a difference in the waters? Or do you just go for or what do you think when you're looking at, because there's always all these different kinds of waters.
Yeah.
What are you grabbing? Just like the generic, or is there like Avion or whatever you call it?
At the gas station, I don't know. I saw a whole documentary on pH level and all the minerals and things. I don't know. I don't know if there's maybe there's something to it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not brand loyal there either. I guess I drink Flow water probably more than anything
Flow
because
water.
it's in a nice recyclable
Okay.
pack,
Okay.
not plastic. So
So you've talked about the different, like working your way up, like the different jobs you've had. Was there ever a job you applied for but did not get?
yes, there's one that sticks out, and it's actually one that my good friend Mindy Heitland, school to work coordinator, she tells the story of me not getting this job to her interns.
So
um,
yeah, tell us about it.
so I applied twice actually for instructional coach position here in the district, and twice I did not get it. And at the time, I was devastated. But I guess devastated slash determined.
Hmm.
So I went in the second time and talked to my principal, who's awesome. Was amazing principal. He's now our COO. And I said, what am I missing? What do I need to work on? What do I need to um, grow? How do I need to grow? And he gave some great advice. But in the end, I found out they kind of had me in mind for this position. So kind of taught me that sometimes you just need to have patience and just focus on the things you can control, which is, what I did. I started thinking about how I could grow, what I could do to um, grow my resume, grow my experiences, grow my learning, and then keep applying. I would have kept applying had this position not opened up, and in the end is the perfect fit. And so things are kind of meant to work out as they're meant to work out, I suppose. But
Yep.
yeah, I guess it taught me when faced with an obstacle, dig in and do what you can to keep going. So yeah.
You talked a little bit about like you using like the voice to text to capture those ideas. This, I don't want to say the S word too loud because your phone's going to go off there.
Real sensitive.
But what is one other tip you have? I feel like you think about these things. What's one other tip you've got for productivity?
Mm, yeah. I think I probably already said, but just schedule some downtime for yourself. I think early in my career, I was go, 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 always busy, always just all the time. But now I realize that I can't be as creative or as innovative or serve the people that I want to serve if I'm completely spent and running, running, running all the time. And so I've made sure like I don't schedule meetings first thing on Monday or last thing on Friday. I give myself some time to like check in with people or just kind of get settled for the day. Um, and same thing when I get home at night, doing the same thing, like checking in with my family. How was your day? What do we have? Just making sure I have some downtime to could just focus and
Mhm.
and that helps me be more productive. So I'm not so scattered.
What is one big goal you're currently working on?
Yeah, next goal for us here for Apex for work-based learning in the district, we are planning another 20,000-foot expansion to the building. So we're kind of moving past discovery with architects and into design, and design will go to the board here in June. But along with that, then that comes thinking about new programming. We're launching an EMT program next year. We just launched CNA this year. And then continue growth. Our strategic plan in the district is to continue to meet the needs of all students, grow CTE, career and tech ed, and work-based learning opportunities. And so thinking about the ways that we can support students, pre-K, 12 plus, not just, that time when they're in high school, but how can we stagger some experiences throughout? So we're kind of in the growth phase there, thinking about that. So that's my next big goal. That's what I've been spending a lot of time thinking about. Even spent some time with a business partner today, kind of looking at what they've built, what their needs are, and just trying to get out there with all the stakeholders to really think about what the needs are, what comes next.
As I know a lot of districts are like you, they're looking at creating facilities for these programs. What are one or two things that you would recommend the districts to keep in mind as they're planning these facilities? Is there anything that comes to mind? Maybe I'm asking this selfishly because the district I'm going to, we are also looking at expanding, and we're kind of in that planning stage. Like any advice you would have for what that space should look like?
Yeah, talk to your stakeholders, talk our academic partners, DMAC, our business partners. I mean, it's too many to name. Thank you, all of you. Uh, our parents are definitely our students. Student voice is a very big deal. Um, just listen to all of them. Ask what's missing. What do we do well? What's needed. What do you think's coming next? Because when you invest in facilities, you want it to last you a while or be flexible enough to meet needs going forward. And so I think through the process of creating our program, creating work-based learning, creating our building, historically we've done a good job of that and we'll continue to do that. So I'm positive that we'll do a good job, hopefully meeting the needs of everyone with the expansion. Can't be everything to everybody, but we'll do the best we can. And we've become a community space too, and just so proud of what everybody has done here to make this place amazing. So yeah, listen to your stakeholders.
Okay.
My advice.
All right. Hey, Michelle, is there anything else that we did not talk about? We covered a lot of topics. They're very interesting. I feel like I know a whole lot more about the program. But is there anything else professionally, personally, that we did not talk about that you want to make sure you share?
No, I mean, I think work-based learning is pretty scary for a lot of people. I mean, I've got this year I have over 600 students just in Apex alone that are all over the city doing great work. But when you think about a 17, 18-year-old, and it can be very scary of what could happen, but I'm absolutely amazed at what does happen when you give them a level of trust and a level of expectation and purpose with what they're working on. So I would say anybody thinking about it, be brave. But like I said, start small. You'll build that confidence as you go. And um, it's just absolutely the most fulfilling thing I have ever done in my career. It's the best team I've ever worked with. It's Waukee is an amazing place. They've pushed me. They push all of us in great ways to grow, and they're supportive along the way. So if you're thinking about this, yes, there's a little crazy with the growth and the development of something like this, but embrace the chaos and just be brave and try it out. So
Well, thank you so much. I'm literally at the Waukee APEX Facebook page right now, and I'm pressing like as we speak. So I'm going to start getting all your updates there. So, hey, Michelle, thank you so much. Michelle's the director of work-based learning for the Waukee School District. Gave an awesome interview. Michelle, where can people, they just Google search you and find you there? Is there a good social media platform or anything they should locate you at?
we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, but probably the easiest, we have a contact page on our website, apex.waukeeschools.org. That's probably the quickest way to get something straight to me. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Hey, finish up strong. I know there's just a few weeks of school left, but like you said, hey, the businesses, they keep going all year long. So I'm sure you guys will finish strong here. So
Yeah. Even into the summer, we'll have some work going on. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, I will be sure to keep in touch with you as I go into my new position too. We're trying to do some similar things what you guys are doing. So again, thank you so much for your time, and we will be in touch. Okay.
okay. Good luck to you in your new position. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Michelle. You rocked it.